No en español, las preguntas.
Sí, ya lo dije. I said it already. I said it in Spanish first, actually.
Muy bien, gracias. That's my little bit of Spanish that I try to learn all the time. So good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Thank you for always showing up whenever we call, to both staff and to parents and to staff who are parents. So we thank you all for being here. And I just wanted to share some new information whenever we get new things or something I think you need to be updated on. I will always come on and just try to keep you abreast of what's happening. So that's the purpose of this meeting today. Ms. Heredia, you want to say that before I go on? Did you hear any of that?
Yes, I did. I was just getting a chair to pick up my feet. Sorry. Buenas tardes. Gracias a todos por estar con nosotros en la reunión de hoy. El propósito de la reunión de hoy es para poder darles... I'm sorry, Ms. Evans, I'm going to put you on mute. I get feedback. El propósito de la reunión de hoy es para poder darles cualquier noticia nueva que hemos recibido. Cada vez que nosotros tengamos algo nuevo para comunicarnos con ustedes, se lo vamos a decir, y ese es el propósito de hoy. Gracias por estar con nosotros.
Thank you very much. So the first thing I'm going to address are devices. I have an agenda. This was first on it. I see that was a question, so I'm going to give you the information that we have at this point. So I know that some of you, when you applied for devices from the DOE, that they told you they're now telling parents to please reach out to the school for information. So what they are now doing is, instead of sending the devices to the homes, which they were doing in the spring and early in the summer, is that they're now sending it to the schools, since someone is here, so that there'd be one central point for pickup. We do not know when the devices are coming. We've got our first shipment last week, and it just showed up with the children's names on it, at which point we did an inventory, and then we called the parents to pick it up. So they are not telling us when the devices are coming. We do not have tracking for the devices. They show up, and the day that they showed up, we call the parents and schedule the pickup. So as soon as they get here, we will let you know. But if you have not heard from us, it's because we have not received them. And as soon as we get them, of course, we will let you know. Please continue to check your emails for the loan agreement that you must send back. But if you have already done so, please know that as soon as they get here, we will get in touch with you.
Para los padres que tienen preguntas sobre las computadoras o sobre cualquier método para poder entrar a la clase, si ya usted aplicó, antes iban a la casa, ahora están viniendo a la escuela. Desde que nosotros los recibamos, nosotros compartimos la información con ustedes. No tenemos forma de ver qué computadoras nos van a llegar para quién. Nada más nos llegan a la escuela con una lista, entonces nosotros nos comunicamos con esos padres y les dejamos saber que ya está aquí en la escuela para que lo vengan a recoger. La semana pasada nos llegó el primer paquete de computadoras y ya nos comunicamos con esos padres para dejarles saber que lo vengan a recoger. Desde que nos llegue a nosotros nos comunicamos con ustedes. No tenemos forma de poder ver cuándo es que nos van a llegar, pero desde que nos lleguen nos comunicamos con ustedes. Y si no han aplicado, por favor, apliquen lo más pronto posible para que llegue aquí a la escuela para ustedes recoger. Gracias.
Thank you, Ms. Heredia. And thank you, Mom, for your patience. I know that the emails that they're sending makes it appear, and I've seen those emails, and it says, please call your school for your devices. So I do understand where the first time we saw it, we were also in shock because they hadn't told us about that either. So when we first saw that first letter presented to us, it's when we realized that they were saying that the devices were coming here. So again, please know that as soon as they get here, we're going to do our very best to send them out.
Gracias a todos por tener paciencia con nosotros, esperando que lleguen las computadoras a la escuela. Sabemos que la carta electrónica que le están mandando a ustedes le dice que se comuniquen con la escuela. La primera vez que nosotros lo vimos, estábamos sorprendidos porque nosotros tampoco teníamos información de que iban a llegar aquí a la escuela. Pero ya sabemos que aquí es que van a llegar. Gracias por tener paciencia con nosotros y desde que lleguen nos comunicamos con ustedes.
Thank you, Mr. Radia. So the next thing I want to discuss is the COVID testing, random COVID testing that they're doing at the school. So I know Ms. Jimenez sent out the letters in both Spanish and English to our parents, and it's to give consent if you would like to, only for the children who are coming into the school. This is not for children who are in remote learning because they are not going to be in contact with anyone at the school. This is just random testing for the school to ensure that everybody who's in the school is not positive with COVID so that there is not any community spread. So I just want to be clear again, if you received the email from Ms. Jimenez in either English or Spanish, it's because we sent it to everyone. However, this only applies to children who are coming into the building on their cohort days. And if you would like to give permission, you can do so and send it back to us. And then we will let you know when that is up and running.
La próxima cosa que queremos hablar es sobre el examen del COVID que sería administrado a los niños por lotería. La señora Jiménez mandó una carta. La carta es nada más para esos niños que vienen a la escuela, esos niños que están cogiendo su clase por remoto 100% del tiempo o todo el tiempo. Esos niños no tienen que completar la carta. La carta es solo para los niños que vienen a la escuela y eso es que usted da permiso de que nosotros podamos administrar el examen del COVID a su hijo o hija porque ellos sí tienen contacto con gente aquí en la escuela y es un examen que es a la lotería o al azar, como alguna gente dice. No se le hace a todos los niños, sino escogen los nombres al azar.
Thank you, Mr. Radia. I wanted to discuss also some of the classroom movements that were happening initially and could potentially continue to happen. So what happened in the beginning, and I just always want to be transparent with our families. So in the beginning, when we had the option to for children to opt into remote learning and families to opt into remote learning, we had initially about 100-something kids who opted into remote learning. So of course, we configured our classes based on those numbers. But because that number, that application process never closed, so to this day, children and families can still opt into remote learning. So the numbers have now shifted completely. Before we had 100-something children in remote, now we have almost 400 of our students in remote. So what has happened is we had to then, the teachers who were then slated to be teaching in the building, because so many children moved to the remote side, we had to reconfigure those, and we're continuing to do that all the times as our numbers are changing. So I know that when some of us started, we had children, let's say in Mr. Burke's class, but depending on the number of children who were now in Mr. Burke's class, we couldn't go over the numbers. So for example, in school, there could only be 9 children in each class to practice proper social distancing. So the reason why the numbers had to be that way was for the social distancing and to ensure that we did not get infected with COVID. On the other side, if children are in the remote learning, classrooms are maxing out at 32. So once those numbers are surpassed, then we have to shuffle teachers around to accommodate all of the children, either staying in school now or going to the other side. So if Ms. Heredia, for example, was in school and she only had 3 children, and in my class I had a spot for 3 children, I would need to free up Ms. Heredia so she could go to the remote side because we have more children there now, and then pass on her 3 children over to me. So that is the reason for the change. I know that it's frustrating and that there's a lot of, there was some confusion around that, and I just wanted to clear up why. It's not because we were just deciding to change children around. It was basically because as the numbers were shifting, we just had to adjust to make sure that we had enough people in both settings to teach all of the children.
Lo próximo que queremos hablar es sobre el movimiento que ha habido de niños de salón de clase o de niños de cambio de maestra. La razón por esto es porque cuando primero empezamos las clases, nada más teníamos 100 y pico de niños que estaban por clase de remoto. Los demás niños estaban supuestamente a venir a la escuela. Con el tiempo ha cambiado. Ahora tenemos casi 400 estudiantes que están cogiendo su clase por remoto 100% del tiempo y los demás vienen a la escuela. Lo que pasó fue un ejemplo, el señor Burke, vamos a usarlo a él de ejemplo, él puede ser que nada más tenía 3 niños en su salón de clase. y la maestra por computadora tenía niños de más. Lo que tuvimos que hacer es hacer un cambio. Si el señor Burke tenía 3 estudiantes nada más viniendo a la escuela y yo tenía cupo en el salón mío, lo que hicimos fue que cogimos esos 3 estudiantes de la clase del señor Burke, los pusimos en la clase mía, ahora están conmigo en la escuela, y entonces el señor Burke lo pusieron a dar clase por computadora. Aquí adentro de la escuela nada más podemos tener 9 niños adentro de un salón para poder mantenernos saludables. Por computadora podemos tener hasta 32 niños. Por eso fue la razón, porque hay cambios todos los días, porque todos los días nos llegan una lista nueva de niños que están cambiando de estando en la escuela a coger sus clases por remoto. Todos los días cambia, muchas gracias por su paciencia por eso.
So I just thank you, Ms. Heredia. I just wanted to address Christian because he said he got kicked out of his Google Meets after lunch and couldn't log back in. So if that's the case, Christian, I'm so sorry that happened. I would say then you could probably just mute your microphone so that during that time it's not on and you can take your camera off. That way you don't have to log completely out, so that when you need to come back, then you won't need to log all the way back in. So maybe try that and see if that works for you. That's typically what I do if I am having a meeting and I have to step out and I don't want to log all the way back in. I just usually just mute my device and then turn the camera off. And then when I come back, I just unmute it and turn it back on. And usually I'm right back. So that's just something to try, I would say.
Okay. Uno de los niños estaba preguntando, él tuvo un poco de dificultad hoy después de la hora de almuerzo. Él salió del Google Meet y después no pudo volver a entrar. La señora Evans estaba compartiendo con él que en ocasiones así, una de las cosas que pueden hacer es poner su micrófono y su cámara en mute, que sería ponerlo en pausa. Así no tiene el problema de que cuando trata de volver a entrar, no puede volver a entrar a su clase. Puede poner las dos cosas en pausa durante su hora de almuerzo, así no se puede oír ni ver lo que está pasando en la casa durante ese tiempo, y así puede volver a regresar a su clase después de su hora de almuerzo.
So I also know, Christian, that one of the things we asked the teachers to do in the beginning was to ensure that none of the kids stayed on the platform during lunch, so that there wouldn't be any anything happening that the teachers aren't able to see. But I would say that's something we could definitely talk about, because I think that if you're getting kicked out and then you're not getting back in, then that's certainly a problem. So we can definitely look into that. All right. So I also see Ms. Tyler was talking about, and I'm addressing the question because I see it here, and just feeling like there's not enough time. That's so interesting, because I had some information from other teachers who are saying that their parents are saying their kids have too much time. And so let me just clarify like what the expectation is, so that you can let me know, because it seems to me like based on the way we have planned our classes, they should have enough time. So what we were thinking about and planning, and actually this was what we were implementing, was the teachers would go on for live to do the mini lesson and to get the children going with what the lesson is, modeling it for them, showing them what to do. Then they do one together, then they check to make sure, and then the children would be off working independently for 20 to 25 minutes at best, so they would have plenty of time. So the fact that you're telling me that that's not happening for you is quite concerning, because I know that is what my expectation would be. So Ms. Tyler, if you could email me at Evans, put it in the chat and just let me know so we could have a separate conversation, because I know that is the expectation, that most kids are having 25 minutes or more to complete their independent work. Certainly we don't want to have you having to do anything extra different on a phone to go back to an iPad. That sounds very complicated. So please just shoot me an email and I'm happy to get in touch with you so we can have that conversation. All right.
La señora Tyler estaba pidiendo un poco de ayuda porque ella siente que no tiene suficiente tiempo para su hijo o hija poder completar sus asignaciones que han sido asignada por la maestra. La señora Evans compartió que en la forma que fue diseñado, la maestra debiera dar una lección pequeña de algunos 15 o 20 minutos, donde ella modela el ejemplo de lo que tienen que hacer en la clase, su asignación, y después los niños tienen de algunos 20 a 25 minutos, dependiendo de la asignación, para poder completar su trabajo. Ella está bien preocupada de que el niño o la niña no tiene suficiente tiempo para completar sus asignaciones. So, la señora Evans le pidió que si ella o cualquier otra persona que está teniendo dificultad con eso, por favor, mándele una carta electrónica a su correo electrónico que ha sido puesto en el chat area. Would you like me to translate that next question for you?
Y por favor.
My kids are having a difficult time going on YouTube from the iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing it might be from the tablet they got from the DOE because I know that has been an issue to get on.
I'm sending you an email now.
That's correct. So Mr. Burke actually literally today just said he was sending an email to the staff to remind them that if it's a DOE issued device, it is internet, it's probably blocking YouTube. So some children may be getting it because they don't have a DOE issued device, and some may be. So we literally just talked about that and are saying we're going to send an email to let the teachers know that there has to be a different way to ask them to access that because it may be blocking them because it's a city device. So we're on top of that, and we will certainly talk to them. He's sending the email as we speak so that we can bring that to their attention. So thank you for that.
Para los estudiantes que están teniendo dificultad pudiendo entrar a YouTube para ver los videos que han sido mandados para las maestras, estamos trabajando en otra forma de que podamos mandarle los videos a los niños, porque sí sabemos que las tabletas que vienen del Departamento de Educación y tienen el internet del Departamento de Educación están siendo bloqueadas para que los niños no puedan entrar a YouTube, o no pueden ver esos videos.
Thank you. So another very important thing I want to bring up, because it's come up a few times and I just want to be very clear. During classwork time, when children are getting instruction and are working independently and are coming back into a small group with the teacher or are having discussions, we really, really appreciate your involvement in that portion of the learning. We want you to help your children. We don't want learning to be a secret here at PS 138. We want them to get that assistance so that from all of us, so that they're able to grasp the instruction. However, when it's time for assessments, I am asking you to please allow the children to take those assessments on their own and independently. The reason is that if we are teaching them and we're going through a series of lessons over a series of days, and you're helping them too at home, and we appreciate your help so much because we see you on there helping them, we then want to see, with all of that help and support, are they able to do that on their own? Because that is the true mark of whether or not they have mastered the standards. And the standards, and next week, Mrs. Austin and I are having 2 workshops for ELA, for pre-K through 2 and for grades 3 through 5. It's on the calendar. And we're doing this so we can really show parents what those standards look like, how they escalate from grade to grade, and what the ask is for those. If children are not able to do those independently, then they're not going to be able to do well as they get older and progress through the years, because those standards just keep progressing and they get harder as they grow. So I want to stress this so much. We want you to help when they're doing homework. We want you to help when they're doing classwork. We want you to help when they're having discussions and they bounce ideas with you. But when it's time to assess, we're going to please ask you, let them do that on their own. If they're struggling through it, that's information for us. It helps us to know how to help them. If you do it for them and they're getting everything right, then the assumption on this end is going to be good. The child knows it, so now I'm going to move on. And if in essence they do not truly know it, we're not going to know. So the ask is simple. Help as much as you can. We're not hiding the instructional part, but assessment, we want them to really try on their own so we can get authentic results for them.
Otra cosa que también queríamos hablar es sobre cuando su hijo o hija está tomando exámenes. Nos hemos dado cuenta que durante, cuando la maestra está dando clases o durante esas asignaciones, muchos de los niños están recibiendo ayuda de una mamá, de un papá o un hermano mayor. Y eso estamos bien contentos con eso. No nos molesta que lo ayuden durante ese tiempo. Queremos que lo ayuden porque así empiezan a aprender un poco más. Pero cuando están cogiendo exámenes, se nos hace difícil que ayuden a su hijo o hija, porque entonces así como maestras no sabemos en qué su hijo o hija necesita un poco más de ayuda. Los exámenes son porque ya hemos dado varias asignaciones sobre un tema y entonces queremos ver si su hijo o hija ya entiende ese tema y si no lo entiende, queremos saber que no lo entiende. Así podemos ayudar a su hijo o hija.
Thank you, Ms. Heredia.
Welcome.
So that's very important because we just really want to make sure that what we are seeing is what we're actually seeing. So thank you so much for that. And so I want to talk about, so I think Christian kind of raised it a little bit, but I'm going back to it for a little bit. So staying on the platform and returning from lunch was my next bullet point. And this is what I mean. So in the interest, some of you joined us earlier in the year when we talked about not wanting to have the children on the platform and in front of the device all day. So we serve a very diverse community. Some people want more, some people want less, some people think it's too much, some people think it's just right, some people think it's not enough. So there's a lot of that happening. So in the interest of that, we're trying to say there is a set way that we're asking our teachers to approach the instructional piece. And that is to make sure that the children have sufficient independent work time where if they need additional support, they can come back to the teacher. What is happening is that some of the children are then going off to work independently and then not showing back up to class. So while they were marked present for coming in, I am asking that the teachers keep track of that, because then what inevitably happens is we get to a position where we have to give a grade and the parent says to us, well, you know, my child was in school, so I don't understand how this is. And then I say, well, mom, he went off during reading time and never came back for the rest of the day. And I appreciate that there's a lot going on because we are still in the middle of this thing. And believe me, every day when we come to this building, we realize just how much things have changed when we go to classrooms and there are 3 and 5 children in a room, and it's just very hard. So we get it. I understand. But it is so important because the children, some of them lost so much since March. We have not truly been in a full school setting since March. Our interest is that they just don't fall further behind. We don't want them. We want to keep them going. We want to keep them moving forward. So we're asking you as much as is possible. We do want them to not have to sit in front of the computer all day, but we also expect them to come back so that we are continuing the instruction throughout the day. And don't let them fool you. If they were in school, they would be here from 8:15 to 2:35, and they would be doing just that. The only difference is we're giving them a little bit of break so that they're not constantly sitting there looking at a screen. So please, we're asking as much as you can, and we know you're doing your very best. We're just saying this because some of what we've experienced is that some of the children just aren't coming back. And if they don't come back to class, that means they're missing a full day's instruction for either reading, writing, or math that is going to be so vital for their growth. So I'm asking you to just please, as much as you can, and if something is going on, just let the teacher know so that we can work together to make it better. Because we ultimately, all we want is for our children to grow and to flourish, even in the middle of this madness that we're experiencing together.
Vamos a volver un poco al tema sobre los niños volviendo a la clase en la tarde. Muchos niños vienen por la mañana, la maestra toma asignación, pero lo que nos estamos dando cuenta es que después que la maestra toma asignación y le dice que vayan a trabajar en su trabajo independientemente, muchos de los niños no regresan para atrás a la clase. Entonces en la tarde tenemos los números un poco más bajos. La señora Evans expresa que acuérdense que si estuvieran en la escuela un día normal, los niños estuvieran en la escuela de las 8:15 de la mañana a las 2:35. Sabemos que todos están tratando lo más que pueden, todos estamos trabajando duro, las maestras igual que ustedes en las casas están trabajando bien duro con su hijo o hija y agradecemos eso mucho, pero también es importante de que ellos también tomen las asignaciones y el trabajo que pasaría en la tarde en la clase. La razón por qué lo hacemos así es para que así los niños no estén al frente de la computadora sentado por tantas horas corrido. Le estamos dando como si fuera un pequeño break, un tiempo aparte de la computadora para que no estén sentados al frente de la computadora. También la señora Evans expresó que es importante de que vengan en la mañana igual que en la tarde, porque en la mañana los números están bien altos porque todos vienen para que le tomemos la asistencia de que sí vinieron a la escuela, pero entonces después que se van a almorzar o cualquier cosa así, los niños no regresan a hacer el trabajo. Y entonces ese es uno de los problemas. So, cuando las maestras están tomando nota que su hijo viene por la mañana, pero entonces no vino en la tarde. So, el trabajo que se hizo en la tarde se lo perdieron. So, tenemos eso para que así cuando demos las notas, tenemos nota de que su hijo vino por la mañana, pero no vino en la tarde.
Thank you, thank you. And just one more thing to add to that, just ensuring that the environment that we're creating for the children is very businesslike in a sense. You know, children are used to getting up in the mornings and coming to school and being greeted and going to class and having a routine. And so just as much as it's possible to, and I'm only saying this because of experiences. So we've had a few experiences where you know, we don't know, but kids don't show up. And then when we call, it's, you know, there's a reason why, but there's no communication with the staff to let us know so that we can work plans out together. We understand that things are coming up all the time. It's coming up here. I think within the last maybe 2 days or so, I don't know how many staff members we had who said that they lost somebody or lost a family friend or lost somebody. So it's very real. We understand. But it's also vital that because we're not able to come face to face often anymore, that we keep that communication open so that we are aware, so that, you know, so that we are able to say, okay, what is another alternative then if we are not able to do that day? Because we just really don't, we know how difficult this is, and a lot of unfinished learning is there for our kids, and we just don't want them to miss out on the learning. It's such a big deal for me because I just know that we had a lot of grand plans and want to really reinforce this, but we also understand that real life is happening in your homes every day. So I just want to be clear that this is not about, oh, your child can't have something going on or you can't have some. There's things going on in our building with our people. So we get it. It's just keeping the lines of communication open so that we are aware, and that if a child is not going to be available or be in or online for a few days for whatever reason, that we know, because otherwise we're going to call you and then people get upset because we're calling, but I'm never going to not call because it's important for us to know what's going on with the kids and how we can support you as our family so that we can do what's best for our children.
Es importante de que, por favor, traten de comunicarse con nosotros. Sabemos que cosas pasan. Hasta nosotros mismos que trabajamos aquí en la escuela no pasan cosas. La señora Evans expresó hasta que tenemos a alguien aquí que trabaja en la escuela que estaba expresando que tuvieron un familiar que se le murió en esta semana. Sabemos que cosas pasan todos los días, pero por favor es súper importante de que se comuniquen con nosotros. Si su hijo o hija vino a la escuela por la mañana, pero no puede regresar en la tarde, por favor comuníquese con la maestra y déjele saber que algo está pasando, que por eso es que no pudieron venir a la clase por la tarde. También la señora Evans expresó un poco anterior que el último día que los niños estuvieron en la escuela, el día completo, fue en marzo. Por eso es súper importante de que los niños estén en cada momento que estamos dando instrucción, sea por la mañana o por la tarde.
Thank you. We are, as far as we know at the moment, are having parent-teacher conferences, and the date that has been given to us is November 4th. But we have had no definite instructions about what that looks like exactly. So because we have not, I'm not one to sit around and wait. So we are planning to have our parent-teacher conferences and planning how we would like that to go until we receive further directives. But please know that what we do know as of right now is that tentatively the parent-teacher conference date is November 4th. What that looks like specifically, they have not really told us yet, but we are planning something in the event that they don't have anything until very late, because I also just understand how important it is to be mindful of your time and to have you be able to plan that this is what's going to happen and this is what you know. So again, I'm just telling you what we know right now, but we are in the process, the administrators and I, to plan something, because we want to really be able to, even if it's a progress report and an update of where kids are right now, we are really thinking through that and saying, we're going to have to just do what's best for our school until we're given the directives clearly about what the expectations are for that.
Para el día de entregar las notas, ahora mismo el día que nos dieron tentativamente es noviembre 4. Ahora mismo no nos han dado dirección de cómo va a ser, exactamente qué documentarios vamos a dar, si van a ser notas oficiales o si va a ser algo como un progresivo de cómo están haciendo los niños en la escuela. Pero nosotros estamos ahora mismo planeando qué vamos a hacer para ese día, por si acaso no nos dan un directivo, hacer lo que es mejor para la escuela de nosotros. Otra vez, esa fecha es noviembre 4 y entonces ese sería el día que las maestras se van a reunir con ustedes y darle un poquito más de información sobre las notas de su hijo o hija.
That is what I had today. I'm looking at the questions and I just wanted to, the iPad that you received from the school, we don't have internet already incorporated into those. The ones that come from the DOE, because they're the iPads and they can put Wi-Fi on them, they have done that. What has been happening is since the beginning of the year, we have asked the DOE to give us some directives on hotspots. We were talking about that. We asked them what that would be, and we're still waiting to hear what the decision was with the hotspots, because we were willing to buy the hotspots for our families, but we're still waiting for directions on that as well. There has been nothing directly given on that, and so myself, along with many other schools, are waiting for that. In terms of the devices with the Wi-Fi that are coming from the city, again, those are very limited in the sense that they are set up for a very particular thing. And if you try to go on them and change them in any way, it's going to lock you out because they have programmed those. They gave them, if they're on loan and they're intended just for instruction for the children. So if you try to download something else or to put something on there, it is going to shut it right down because that's how they've programmed them. But in terms of having Wi-Fi from the school, we do not have them. We have been trying to purchase hotspots, but as of right now, there has been no further directives given on that. We have asked and inquired quite a bit, but still nothing yet. So we are waiting, and I apologize for that, but we are still waiting to hear about the hotspots.
Para los padres que recibieron una tableta o computadora de la escuela, esos no vienen con internet implementado adentro de ello. La señora Evans sí compartió que ella han hablado con el Departamento de Educación para tratar de conseguir internet que sea lo que le llaman hotspot, para así ustedes poder usar ese internet sobre su casa. Pero hasta ahora no nos han dado directivas sobre eso. Desde que nos den un poco más de información, nos comunicaremos con ustedes. La señora Evans, igual que en otras escuelas, todavía están esperando más información sobre eso. Las tabletas que vienen del Departamento de Educación, esas sí vienen con internet, pero no dejan que su hijo o hija entre a YouTube, que era lo que una de las madres estaban compartiendo con nosotros. Si llegan, tienen la oportunidad de poder entrar o bajar alguna aplicación, automáticamente el iPad que vino del Departamento de Educación le tumba esa aplicación y no deja que siga trabajando. Pero esas que sí vinieron de la escuela la pueden usar, pero no tienen internet, tuvieran que usar el de internet que tienen en su casa, si de casualidad tienen. Y si no tienen, la señora Evans expresó que sí habló con el Departamento de Educación en conseguir hotspots para que así puedan tener internet para usarlas.
I also saw the question about whether the COVID test is optional. So yes, the permission slips were sent to you, like I think I said in the very beginning. And so if the parent fills out the permission slip for their child to be tested, then it's a random sampling. So it's not like they're testing every child all the time, but there must be a permission slip that's on record for your child to say that you have given permission. And when those permission slips are in, then those tests will be random. So it won't be the same. Only in school children, right? But it's optional for the parent, and if they fill out the permission slip to give permission, then they've given permission. It will still be random testing, though, of those children. Not every child tested every day, just random testing whenever they're applying the test.
Alguien preguntó sobre el examen del COVID, si es opcional. Es opcional, sí, pero si usted llena el formulario que le mandaron, que la señora Jiménez le mandó, eso es usted dando permiso de que la escuela sí puede administrar el examen del COVID al azar o por lotería. Ese examen es nada más para los niños que están viniendo a la escuela. Esos niños que están por remoto 100% no tienen que llenar el formulario. Pero si llena el formulario y su hijo o hija está viniendo a la escuela, eso es que usted está dando permiso de que sí pueden administrar el examen a su hijo o hija del COVID.
So at this time, that is what I have for you today. Mr. Burke reminds me. Mr. Burke, would you like to address that?
Ladies, gentlemen, please be patient with us when you're having tech problems. In the school, we are not techies. We are just trying to help you the best way we can. And I know you're getting frustrated because the device that you got from the city is or is not working and it's not doing the right thing for you. I promise we're trying to do everything we can. Definitely call the phone numbers. There's 2 phone numbers that they sent you. There's a 718-935-5100 number. That one's, you're going to be on hold for quite a while. But there's also an Apple phone number that you can call Apple directly. Please do that because we don't have that access to Apple like you do.
It didn't come from us, right?
Okay? And we will, we will help you however we can. But sometimes we just don't have the power to do what we'd like to do.
Les pedimos a los padres que por favor sean un poco pacientes con nosotros cuando están teniendo dificultad de tecnología. Las computadoras computadoras o tabletas que recibieron del Departamento de Educación no vinieron de nosotros. Nosotros también estamos aprendiendo todos estos programas porque también para nosotros son nuevos. Por eso le pedimos que por favor sean un poco pacientes con nosotros. Cuando usted recibe la computadora o la tableta del Departamento de Educación, viene con 2 números de teléfono. El primero es el 718-935-5100, opción número 5. Y el otro es un número para que se pueda dirigir sus preguntas directamente a la compañía de Apple. Esas serían las 2 opciones que nosotros le pudiéramos dar si recibieron una computadora o una tableta de ellos.
So I just want to end by saying I appreciate all of you so much. You have no idea. I miss the children terribly. It's amazing how a few months can feel like a lifetime. It really does. And it's hard to be in the school without the constant buzzing of children all the way around all the time. It's very surreal, and it really brings you back to the moment. And so I don't want to ever forget that we're in this moment, but we're in the moment together. And we still have an obligation as a school to educate your children, and that is what we want to do. And so every thought I have and every thought that we have an administrative team and as a school, and our teachers are working hard, our parents are working hard, our school aides are working hard, everybody is working hard in the best interest of our children. And so I just want you to know that whatever the issues are, if we don't know what you're experiencing, we can't help. So please let us know if there's something we can help with. And if we can, we'll do our best. And if we can't, we'll see if we can find someone who can help. Thank you to those of you who showed up at the pantry today. I hope that you're getting our messages. If you are not getting our messages when Ms. Jimenez calls, please make sure that we have your most current information. I know Ms. Rodriguez, Ms. Y. Rodriguez sent out blue cards electronically, and for children who are in school, we've sent some of those home. Please fill them out with your most current information so that we're able to add you to the list. And everyone have a wonderful rest of your afternoon. I hope that all is well with you and that you keep reaching out to us. I'm never not going to respond no matter what the situation, because you are our clients. We are here to serve you, and that's what we intend to do. So thank you so much for being here today and for listening to our spiel. And we just thank you. And if you need anything, we are here. So thank you so much for being here this afternoon.
Hi, Karen. How you doing?
Miss Brenda, you couldn't wait for that. Miss Heredia needs to translate.
I'm sorry.
Okay, Ms. Jackson, I know you were excited to see Karen. Also, I just wanted to add very quickly, if your child is in 3K or pre-K, there's a screening form that needs to be completed. Please just swing by the school tomorrow to pick up that form. The form is due back to the school by November 1st. La señora Evans quería compartir muchas gracias por asistir a la reunión de hoy. Ella quería decirle que sus hijos no hacen mucha falta. Es increíble pensar que en tan poquitos meses se siente como han pasado años sin oír sus voces, sin ver sus caras sonriendo en los pasillos. No hacen muchas faltas. Sabemos que todo el mundo está trabajando súper fuerte. Ustedes en su casa, igual que nosotras las maestras y administradores, consejeros, asistentes, las school aides, todo el mundo está trabajando súper extra en su casa. Y muchas gracias. Gracias a todos que participaron hoy en nuestro pop-up pantry de dar comida. Gracias a todos por todo lo que hacen. Y Miss Jackson quería darle mucho saludo a la señora Karen. Thank you guys so much.
Oh, someone says that they didn't receive the blue card for
I put Miss Rodriguez's email there so they could reach out to her, and I also put Miss Jimenez as well, just in case they need that as well.
Yes.
Si no recibió la tarjeta azul para llenarla, puse la dirección electrónica de la señora Rodríguez para que se comuniquen con ella, para que ella se la mande, igual que la de la señora Jiménez, por si acaso tiene alguna pregunta.
Is the child in school or remote?
Señora Elizabeth, ¿su hijo o hija está en la escuela o por remoto 100%?
The Campos?
I don't know.
Elizabeth Adames. Full remote.
Full remote. Okay. So yes, we can send it again to her. Please just email Miss Jimenez or Miss Rodriguez, and we'll get one to you.
Okay. Por favor, mándale un mensaje a la señora Jiménez o a la señora Rodríguez para que le manden llamó a la escuela. Okay, someone said they can also call the school and speak to Miss Sanchez. All right.
Muy bien.
Sanchez.
All right. Thank you all so much. I'll see you again soon. As soon as I know more things, I hope, then I will be back on here to talk to you some more. So thank you so much and have a good evening.
Guys, remember to follow us on our social media, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube.
Yes.
And gracias por venir.
Muy bien.
Thank you so much. Have a good evening, everyone. Can we